Assalamu alaikum. Hi everybody. I am Umar bin Abid and you are watching Umar Linguistics. So in this video, I am going to introduce you with four books on introduction to linguistics. But all of these four books can be further classified into, for example, beginner, intermediate, and advanced in this way. So the first book which I always recommend, although I am not an expert or in this field, but as far as I know, so the first book I always recommend if you are just going to start linguistics and you don't have any background at all, then this is the book to start. The Study of Language by George Yule. And this is the seventh edition of this book, uh, which has been launched in 2020. So, what are the key features of this book, due to which I am recommending this? So, the first feature is that its uh, language is quite easy to understand, not only for non-native native speakers, but also for non-native speakers. So, many books are difficult as a non-native English speaker, but this book will definitely be going to be very easy. And this is the same book which I follow, and I make the videos on this complete book, on each chapter and on each section, both in English and in Urdu, and you can watch this. The second feature is that it's quite interactive. There are, for example, some pictures in the start of every chapter. For example, if we go to the last chapter, like for example, this social variation in language, and then language and culture, and then history of language, and so on. Then there is another important feature in this book. So you can see each section is described in a very concise way. There is not much detail on each topic, but in a very concise way, George Jewell defines everything so you can understand very easily. At the end of each chapter, you get some study questions. You can see these study questions. And for these study questions, there is a separate answer key which you can find freely on Cambridge website. After study questions, there are some tasks. So you can also find the answer of tasks on the same study guide. And after that, there are uh, discussion projects. Discussion projects at the end of each chapter. So for discussion projects, for example, there is a question and they will guide you that see this section or this chapter from this book, this chapter from this book, and after that there is a further reading section. And even in further reading, George describes that, for example, if you want to study this topic in general, then this is the best book. If you want to study this topic in detail, then this is the book. So in this way, he describes everything for a beginner to an uh, for a beginner as well as an advanced learner. So therefore, I always recommend this book at first. And there is the second book, which is known as An Introduction to Language. And this is the once again the latest edition, and this is the 11th edition of this book. You can see 11th edition. Yeah, and it is written by three authors. The main author is Victoria Fromkin, Robert Rodman, and Nina Himes. This book explains a bit more as compared to the study of language. So you will find a little bit more detail on some concepts. You may find some new concepts in this book, but not in the study of language. And for example, in the very start, you get this overview of articulators, and then there are several chapters. So this book has a bit more detail, but this book does not have a section like task, discussion, projects, but it does have some exercises at the end of each chapter. Yeah, and there is one section like summary, which usually George will does not include at the end of each chapter, but in this book at the end of each chapter you will find a summary like this. uh, if you can see summary, and then it also gives further reading, but once again George will describes a bit in detail about references and then exercises. All right, and even for this book, I think you can find the study guide, although I haven't found it yet. So this is the second book. The third book is this Contemporary Linguistic Analysis and Introduction. It is written by William O'Grady and John Archibald, and this is the latest ninth edition of this book. Uh, but this is the book which is specifically written for Canadian readers, the those people who study in Canadian universities and take an introduction to linguistics course. But still, there is not much information, you can say, which deviates from other books. No, but yeah, what is specific that they discuss Canadian examples more as compared to other examples of English, and they also discuss, for example, if you read the chapter here in this book of phonology or phonetics, you will find Canadian vowels or Canadian consonant. But still, this book is much good in if we talk about the detail. This book discuss the concepts in more detail, and this book is also a bit difficult at some points as compared to the other two books. Um, so the key feature also, for example, this book is also very interactive, and similarly at the end of each chapter you will find a very short summary by the name summing up, and then you will find some recommended readings like in most of the book. Then you will find some an appendix, and you will also find some exercises. So this is also a very good book, and this book has exercises, very long exercise. So if you do exercise, you can understand each and everything in your chapter. So if I talk about the exercise of the study question, so they are more easier in the study of language, but they are difficult in other books. Okay. And this book also discusses topic in a bit detail as compared to these other books. And the last book is How Languages Work. It is the second edition of this book, and the writer is Carol Genetti. It is also published by Cambridge University Press. I really like this book, and so this book is different from all the books in different aspects. For example, it also gives exercises just like these, and but besides the exercise, what is the key feature of this book? The key feature is of this book is that each chapter is written by a different author. For example, If you are studying phonetics, it will be written by an other one author, and phonology will be written by another author, the chapter on phonology. Why? Because for each chapter they have found the expert of that field. So in this way, this book is helpful and much easier to understand as well. And you will find some in-depth concept in a very easy language. Okay, for example, if you are reading phonology, it is written by Massey Gordon. And if you are reading morphology, it has been written by Marian Misson. Okay, and then after, for example, there are 10 to 11 chapters in this book. Sorry, there are 15 to 16 chapters in this book, and after these 15 chapters, there is a separate exercise for you to do. So if you want to go a bit in more detail, then you have, for example, language profiles. So what is language profiles in this book? So this book is purely, we can say this book is purely uh, on general linguistics. It is not specifically giving just English examples as compared to other books. It will give you examples from different languages. Although these books also give definitely, but not in as much detail as in this book. So there are language profile 1, 2, 3. In each language profile, you will find a new language, how this language is different from the other, the phonological aspects, the morphological aspects of that language. All right, so in this book, this book is very interesting, and I recommend that you should study this book as well. And besides that, for all of these books, there is a companion website. The very interactive website is once again for this book, where you will find different multiple choice questions. You will also find some supplement materials to do some linguistic analysis. So actually, this book makes you enable to do linguistic analysis in a very good way if you follow this book. Uh, you can say with a lot with concentration. So this book will be the best for you. So I think this is the enough information, and these are all the four books which I have introduced, and all of these books are very good. And but if you are just going to start, if this is your first time, then I would recommend The Study of Language by George Jules. And I think after that you can continue with any of the book. It is not very strict to follow this order, and you may ask your teacher and any expert. Definitely I am sharing my knowledge, what I have. I am not that much expert. I am still a student, and I want to be a student. And so don't forget to give your feedback, and if you find anything which I need to improve, so you can give your feedback in the comment section.